Hello everyone and welcome to another beer review. Now I reviewed a beer from Jeremy Clarkson's Hawkstone kind of brand, and it was a Hawkstone Black kind of nitro stout, and I did say I felt it had more flavour than the other kind of nitro stouts available. And when I did a head to head with three of them, the head to head, the one that won was Forged by Conor McGregor. But unfortunately, I can't do a head-to-head with them anymore because Forge is no longer on sale in the kind of major shops in the UK and Ireland. They've been pulled from the shelves since Conor McGregor lost his court case. I'm not going to get into that, but at the end of the day, if he has done what initially he's been found guilty of, then the man's just a prick. Let's be totally honest, he's just a prick. And he deserves everything he gets. What I do feel sorry for, apart from obviously his victim, because I do feel sorry for her. I mean, even just being in his presence without him touching you, it's fucking bad enough in my view. But anyway, to cut a long story short, I also feel sorry for all the innocent parties with this type of reaction of removing the beer. Then you are basically punishing innocent parties like the people that work in the brewery that actually make the beer, because it ain't Conor McGregor that fucking makes it. And distributors and, you know, logistic companies and everything else, all the ones that are basically involved with the contracts with this, now that it's no longer being sold, then a lot of all these contracts have kind of been cancelled. So I feel sorry, and as well maybe people that actually enjoyed the beer as well. I mean, they're also being punished. For what reason? I mean, yeah, you can punish him, but I don't understand why you have to punish everyone else. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But anyway, so I can't do that. So what I've done is I've managed to get hold of another nitro stout, which is starting to kind of get a bit more popular as well. Now this is apparently O'Hara's Irish Stout. It's a craft brewed in Ireland, apparently, and it's 4.3%. Again, another 440ml can. I don't understand that. It just doesn't make sense. And this was quite expensive because, of course, you can't buy it through normal channels. You have to buy it online. And, of course, everybody that seems to sell online, it used to be that if you buy things online, it'd be cheaper because there's less overheads. Now it's the exact opposite. You seem to buy, especially alcohol, online, and they absolutely shaft you for it. So 4 cans of this cost me £11.99, 12 quid. So it just shows you, you know, I'm committed, or should be fucking committed at that price. Anyway, and I also got their red ale, their creamy red ale as well. So I will be reviewing that. So what I want to do is I want to review this by itself, see what it's like, and then later on I will do a head-to-head with it, Guinness Nitro Stout, Brewdog's Black Heart, and of course another can of Jeremy Clarkson's Hawkstone Black. Anyway, I was going to say something. I was going to say Hawthorn for some strange reason. I don't know. Just when I was about to say that, the word Hawthorn came into my head, and I'm like, no, don't start playing silly buggers with me, because the brain does that sometimes when I'm doing a video. You know, you've got the idea in your head, you go there, and it just chucks a wee word in from nowhere, and it just throws you. And you're thinking, yeah, fucker. So that's what happens when you get old. Anyway, hope everybody's having a good build-up to the festive seasons. I am, although I don't feel particularly festive, and I haven't put up any decorations, so I'm a right Scrooge this year, and I'm quite happy to. And I said to say that I wasn't going to do any Christmas beers. And I said that. I said, I'm not going to do any Christmas beers. My whole plan wasn't going to do any Christmas beers. And then what did I do? I bought some Christmas beers. But not the usual crap in the bottle. I've actually got 3 Christmas ales in the keg. So I've got 3 fresh ales coming. Fuck knows what they're going to be like. I've got 2 already. I'm waiting for the next one to arrive. Jesus God. Oh my God. Anyway. And I've actually bought 2 of them from a brewery that, for me, I've always found them hit and miss. Sometimes they can be really nice, and other times they can be bloody awful. So I've really throwing the dice with that one. Right, should we crack? Is there any crap in this? I don't think there is, actually. Not really, no. Just says product of Ireland. Well, at least it's actually made in Ireland. Pregnancy warning again. Alcohol can cause lifelong harm to your baby. Well, my mum found that out. Especially when you found out how much I was drinking as I got older. Oh, there we go. Oh, Jesus. Right, we're supposed to take a while this in. Oh, Jesus, it's pissing everywhere. How the hell did it manage to get there? Right, there you go. Now, apparently, the guy that was the Guinness guru, I think he's called Dara or something like that. I can't remember his name. I think it's Dara or something. He likes this. No. He likes how creamy it is. It's extra creamy. It's creamier than like, say, a Guinness. So he loves that. So it's got that texture that he likes. There's a smell of this, which is quite interesting. See, when you're sitting there doing a beer review and you make that statement, that actually is quite nice. There's plenty of other areas in life where if you made that statement, people would look at you thinking, what the fuck is he up to? But anyway, referring to the beer, there's a smell of it. Quite pungent, actually. It's probably the best way of putting it. There is a pungent smell of it. Not that I'm not saying it's a bad smell, but it's quite pungent. It's just a bit unusual because I didn't expect that. But there you go. I'm going to have a sniff. I'm going to. Yeah, it's a heck of a bitter chocolate smell of it. A really bitter chocolate smell. And that's what I was getting. I was just getting this kind of pungent smell. And I think, what the hell is that? I hit it. The minute I basically popped the can, the bloody thing wafted at me. Which again is not a good term to use when you're basically talking about the smell of beer, the beer aroma. It wafted. You know, not a good idea. But anyway, looks like it's settled, smell-wise. Yeah, all I'm getting is kind of bitter chocolate kind of smell. And maybe a bit of molasses. So I'm getting very dark, rich, what I would class as the more stronger flavours of a stout. Which is none of the flavours that I would ever get from a Guinness or a Black Heart or even a Forged. Because I think they're all kind of lacking in aroma, especially Guinness. Guinness doesn't have an aroma at all. Right, so we see what this tastes like. O'Hara's. Oh, bloody hell. Right, well, there's a bit more texture to that, is it? It's like fucking almost like Greek yogurt. I could say yes, it's creamy. I would say it's probably more creamy than the other ones, definitely. It has a more creamier edge to it. But the thing that stands out is not the texture, although the texture does stand out. The thing that stands out is the initial flavour. One thing that isn't so much of a lingering in the aftertaste, which is probably a wee bit disappointing. I think I would have wanted a bit of lingering, you know. I do like a bit of lingering. But no, it's quite a clean finish, unfortunately. But with a chocolate edge there to it, and a bit of bitterness, and a bit of light molasses kind of flavours to it as well. There's a bit of sweetness there as well, not too much, but there's a bit of sweetness there. And overall, it's actually not too bad. I didn't expect it to be so kind of gung-ho in the kind of bitter chocolate edge. I don't think it's supposed to be, what did they say? It's smooth and creamy, traditional, dry Irish stout with a robust roast flavour and a dry espresso-like finish. Not really picking up kind of coffee tones. I'm picking up bitter chocolate, but I'm not picking up well, it's a kind of dry finish. I would say that it's quite a clean finish, yes. I wouldn't say really so much dry, I would say more clean finish. Yeah, I suppose there is a little bit of bitterness there that you can maybe construe as espresso or a kind of coffee edge, but I think that's one of the big problems with a lot of what the hell's going on with my glasses? Are they dirty? Yeah, they're absolutely filthy. Oh, used to like my women, like my glasses. Transparent. You thought I was going to say dirty, didn't you? So did I for a minute. But yeah, I think there's a big problem is you get a little bit of bitterness with some kind of beers and you automatically, want to call it coffee. Rather than, yeah, there's a little bit of bitterness there, but I wouldn't say it has any kind of coffee tones to it. It's just a little bit of bitterness. So I don't know how you can say that as being espresso because at the end of the day, it's just bitterness. And yeah, but you get that with porters and you get that with stouts. Oh, there's a wee bit of bitterness. Oh, it's got to be espresso. Oh, coffee. No, it's not. And I'm not really getting anything kind of coffee-like. I'm getting more kind of dark chocolate, kind of bitterness edge. I don't know what's going on with my blooming voice. I don't know. That wasn't fine until I started talking. I noticed that. Anyway. I don't really know much about O'Hara's. It's actually quite nice. There's actually quite a lot of flavour in that. I'm quite surprised. It doesn't really tell us much at all. I don't really know that much about O'Hara's, apart from I know it's from Carlow. So it is. And I knew that because I'd seen a couple of reviews in the past when it was just kind of starting to kind of build up some traction in Ireland. And again, a lot of basically Guinness drinkers thinking, no, it's too strong a flavour. And I'm thinking, fucking bunch of nonsense, seriously. Too strong a flavour. You want a pint of cream, don't you? Yeah. Anyway, but apparently they're really creamy red ale. And that's kind of really growing traction as well. It seems to be getting very popular in Ireland. And what I've heard is now, since me turning around and doing the Murphy's review on the can that was brewed in Scotland, apparently now, because there's a shortage of Guinness, because Guinness has become so popular, because there's so many women now drinking Guinness, probably because it's so bloody weak in flavour and that type of stuff, that a lot of the kind of flavours that women in the past would enjoy from a kind of stout, especially if it was Guinness, because it's so weak in flavour now, it's not an issue. There's no real barriers or any kind of resistance there. But because there's such a kind of shortfall that they're having to kind of ration supplies of Guinness because they can't make it fast enough, that a lot of the pubs are now basically turning to Murphy's, and they're now supplying Murphy's in the UK, and on draft, not in any kind of cans or bottles, but on draft. And now it is now starting to kind of become rationed as well, because the supply of that now being affected. So there you go. So a lot of the pubs that were struggling to get enough of a supply of Guinness has now moved over to Murphy's, and now they're having problems getting enough Murphy, because apparently Heineken, is it Heineken? I'm sure it's Heineken. Yeah, I think it is. Apparently, is it Heineken or Carlsberg? Anyway, one of the two. Apparently they're not really kind of pushing the production and ramping it up, and they're not really kind of pushing any advertisement of Murphy's either. Yes, they have noticed there has been a rise in sales and things like that, but they're not really particularly bothered about it, which, there you go, doesn't make any sense. Although, in saying that, though, when I did taste it in the can, I did feel like they didn't really kind of give a toss about it, because it certainly came through in the flavour of it. It was just not particularly good at all. But anyway, this seems to be a lot better. And overall, it's actually quite pleasant. And I'm now wondering, because this has got quite a lot of flavour too, and I think it's going to give Clarkson's Hawkstone Black a bit of a run for its money, so I think it's going to be quite a good head-to-head. Unfortunately, the other two, I think they're going to be in the same type of position. I think basically Guinness is going to come in last, Blackheart's going to come in third, and it's going to be a fight for first and second between the two of Hawkstone Black and this one. So it'll be quite interesting, so I will be doing that. So let's quickly break down these flavours. Right, start off, get a nice molasses edge to it. Well, a lot of nice roasty grains right at the front of the mouth, and it's quite a strong start. Plenty of flavour there. And yeah, you get the molasses there, kind of edge to it right at the start. You're getting the kind of the roasted grains, that kind of smoky roasted grains, get a little bit of sweetness. Because you're getting that kind of molasses edge, you're also starting to get a bit of bitterness there as well. So straight off the bat, you know, you're getting slightly kind of sweeter, kind of maltier molasses tones. But you start getting that little bit of bitterness coming in through the back end of that, as well as a slight smokiness from the roasted grains. And you're looking at it thinking, whoa, it's got a good start. Moves on to the mid-tongue. And the flavours are kind of continue at the start of the mid-tongue to the kind of middle of the mid-tongue. And then you start getting these kind of chocolate accents building up. And and the bitterness is kind of ramping up with it. And about the kind of second half of the mid-tongue, you're getting quite strong chocolate bitterness kind of flavours there. You've still got a little bit of smokiness there. You've still got the kind of slightly molasses edge with that little bit of sweetness. So all the flavours are there. But when it starts to kind of move into the kind of back of the mouth and aftertaste, that's where things start to change. And as these flavours kind of die off, you start getting a kind of slightly kind of a second lighter kind of bitterness. And I think this is what they're trying to make out as being coffee, which isn't it? It just seems to be slightly more of a kind of hoppy kind of bitterness coming through, rather than getting the bitterness from the grains. You're getting the bitterness from the hops being used, and they're trying to make out that's a kind of espresso. So it's quite a clean finish because all the kind of flavours kind of dissipate. But one of the last kind of new flavours is basically this kind of slightly different bitterness, which is quite nice. Not a lot of it. It's not a strong bitterness. It's just quite light, but you do notice it's different from the rest that you're getting, and it does feel like more of a hoppy bitterness. But overall, it's actually quite nice. I'm not going to say it's more like a traditional. It has the flavour intensities of the traditional, and it has some of the flavour profiles, but they do taste a bit different. So they do. And it's not like with Hawkstone Black, where it had some similar flavours that we'd find in a traditional kind of stout. These ones have flavours that are like some of the flavours you would find in a traditional stout, but they are still a bit different. They're nice in their own right, but they don't have that kind of body or earthiness, and this is one of the things I always find, it just doesn't really have the body. Whereas I found that was the thing that with Hawkstone Black, there was a bit of body there, which again helped to kind of identify it being closer to a more traditional stout, even though it was a nitro. Whereas this one is done with the widget, so it has. And it does have that kind of feel about it. It's just, it always seems to be lighter. It always seems to feel with the nitro pours. What they gain in texture, they lose actually in the kind of the body of the beer. And it just seems to be a bit lighter, which again is supposed to be sessionable, but for something that's sessionable, there's actually quite a lot of flavour there, which again was surprising. I was going to expect to get one of these kind of heavily textured, kind of watery kind of stouts that lack the flavour, you know. It's all textured and not much else, whereas this, it's got the texture there, but it's actually got a bit of flavour. And right now, I actually quite like it. Right now, I actually seems to feel that I feel that this has got more flavour than the Hawkstone Black. Although I'd like to obviously, I will obviously put them head to head. But right now, out of 10, I'm actually going to give this a 7. Now, again, this is in the realms of nitro stout, not in the kind of open waters of normal beers, because let's be totally honest, they're not normal beers. They're manufactured beers, let's be totally honest. And I've said this before. They've added false ingredient, so they have. I mean, like I said before, the nitrogen in the beer isn't natural. It's an unnatural additive. So that's why I'm going to class them within their own kind of realm, because if I put them out in the big bad world, then they would lose points, because they are basically got false additives, let's be totally honest, and they do change the beer. Now, some people say it changes the beer for the better. For me, I'm quite happy with the natural kind of stouts. Like I said before, I'm not really into the kind of texture stuff. I mean, it's okay, it's fine, but if you look at the way they are now and the lack of flavour in them, well, there's a lack of flavour. There's this the kind of falseness to them as well. And for me, they've actually got worse over the years, especially as I've got older as well. I just won't really put up with them now. But yeah, out of the kind of range I've done so far, initially I'm going to give this a 7. It might change when I do the head-to-head, but right now I'm going to give it a 7. And it's actually half a point ahead of Hawkstone's Black. Again, that might change and everything else when they all go to head-to-head. But yeah, overall, it's actually not too bad. And if you're into these kind of stouts, then I would recommend giving it a go, because I think if you like these kind of style of stouts and you like the kind of more proper stout flavours, the kind of a bit more body to it, a bit more kind of, well, body as in flavour, a bit more intensity is probably the best way to it, and just something that's a bit more girth from a stout point of view, then yeah, give it a go and see what you think. Now, I think you can get them at normal prices. I think there's talks of this coming over to the UK properly, but right now it's really only sold in Ireland right now. But I think it's sold at kind of normal prices. I don't think they're usually too bad. But in saying that, though, if you look at it, Hawkstone Black was what, £2.66 a can, whereas obviously this is £11.99 for 4, so that makes it £3. So it is more expensive. Although in saying that, though, well, you look at some of the craft beer in the supermarket, and yeah, you can get a wee 330ml can over £3, and it tastes like piss. So this doesn't taste like piss, and you're getting a 440ml can. Again, not great, but this is better than 330ml. But yeah, I would say 7 is probably a good enough score. I'm going to give it within the realms of nitro stouts, not in the open waters of normal beer. But yeah, give it a go, see what you think. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.